Then we go into book 3. There's your front, there's your back, and we open it up again. Got more listings there. Not really any notable extras on this one, really only a commentary on Scars of Dracula. So we have got Quatermass in the Pit, Vengeance of She. Unfortunately, Ursula Andress didn't decide to come back to star in this one, although it was still a very entertaining movie. Then we've got The Devil Rides Out. Fantastic film. One of Hammer's most underrated films. Prehistoric Women, which is a sort of in the same sort of lines as 1 Million Years BC. Very, very good film starring Martine Beswick. Well, I enjoyed it. And then you've got The Scars of Dracula, which is upside down. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through all these again now because I've just noticed you've got a still on the back of them. So you've got Martine Beswick there. Let's just have a look at the others. Ow, I've got my finger trapped in the book. Let's just have a look at these. So underneath Frankenstein Created Women, we've got something, I can't work out what that is. Somebody's head in some sort of vice by the looks of things. And then in book 1, behind Rasputin the Mad Monk, we've got A Shot from the Plague of Zombies. So you can see what I was saying about the fact that they've taken a lot of care with this set. And then the final book, book 4, is actually a lot thicker than the others. There's an extra movie in it. So you've got David Prowse from, what's it called? The Horror of Frankenstein. And then the back is, I think it's To the Devil a Daughter is on the back of that one. And this is one that's rated 18. This actually contains some of their more controversial films they produced. So we've got special features again listed here. Now there is one, on To the Devil a Daughter, you've got a documentary called To the Devil, The Death of Hammer, which is a fascinating documentary on the demise of the Hammer studio. So then, disc-wise, we've got The Horror of Frankenstein with David Prowse. Many people don't like this film. It's not a bad film, it's not the best of them, but it's definitely worth a watch. Then you've got Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. I really, really enjoyed this film. It was a very, very good suspense horror. Then you've got Straight On Till Morning. Very good film. Very controversial in its time. Fear of the Night. Yet again, another good film. Demons of the Mind. And then finally To the Devil a Daughter. Now, Hammer's controversy with a lot of the films was due to extreme violence and kind of sexual scenes, really. I can kind of see where the controversy came from. For its time, some of the violence in some of the movies was very, very explicit. I mean, some of the later ones, especially in this pack, for like To the Devil a Daughter, Straight On Till Morning, they are Demons of the Mind. In levels of gore, they're probably for that time period. They are probably up to the levels of what we've got now with Saw and other what people call gornos. But I think they are all very enjoyable films. I've actually got another selection of Hammer films, which I might actually grab in a minute just to show you some. I won't be able to pull all of them down. but I've got a decent selection of them. Hammer kind of came to me from, I had recorded a couple of them a very, very long time ago. This is when VHS was still in play, when we had a Skybox, and they were showing them on, I believe it was the Sci-Fi Channel, kind of late at night. So I recorded a couple of them. And when I was younger and I recorded them, I would have probably been, I don't know, maybe 13, that sort of age. Probably not the best age to be watching some of them, but, and I didn't really appreciate the kind of the kitsch style to it, really. It wasn't until I'd become a fair bit older, and it was actually when I'd gone out with my dad one day, and we were looking around, I think it was HMV, and we were talking about, you know, different horror films that we liked. And my dad's not much of a horror fan, but he was talking to me about the fact that when he was about my age, he used to love to sit and watch the Hammer films, and he'd go to the cinema if he got the opportunity, and he just loved watching them, especially the Christopher Lee Dracula films. And it was one of those things where as soon as you mentioned Christopher Lee and Dracula, my mind went back to when I was watching these ones on VHS that I'd recorded off Sky. And so I went and I actually watched a couple of them online, to kind of refresh my memory. And there was just something in them, and it was probably I was the right age at the time to enjoy them, and I loved them. I thought they were fantastic films. For their age, not many of them are that cheesy. They just still work really well. And I mean, I still maintain to a lot of people that the black and white horror films I've got are some of the most chilling horror films that I actually own, because they knew how to build the atmosphere back then. And the Hammer films were kind of working really well in the process of the fact that they could still build up the suspense to them, whereas everything now is kind of, it's either jump out of your seat moments where it's kind of, you know, someone walks into a room and someone else jumps out of wardrobe and gives them a little fright, or it's kind of just your standard, let's see how much blood we can show in one scene sort of fare. And you know, there are still people out there that can produce a decent horror film. But Hammer seemed to be the studio that had the right combination of blood and scares. I mean, I'll admit it now, these films aren't scary anymore. But you can tell they were. And the suspense is still there, and there's always a build-up in story. There's never just violence for the sake of violence. They build up the characters, and you get to know them before some horrible fate befalls them. And I think that's such a rare thing in films today. I mean, in any film today, it's very rarely you get a director that spends the time developing the characters to the point where when they are in danger, you care about them. And Hammer is just one of those studios that really, really spoke to me, really. And like I said, I think they are a fine example of kind of 70s horror. But Hammer are also notable for the fact that they, at times, put their own spin onto things. For example, let me just show you something. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. I know what many of you are thinking. It's just them changing him turning into Mr. Hyde to Sister Hyde. But it's more than that, because there is a spin of Jack the Ripper in it. There is Burke and Hare are actually in this film. You know, the people that were in the Simon Pegg and Andy Serkis based one of their latest films on. They're in this film when they weren't even in the sort of time period, really, of when Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was done. And yet this really, really works. If I just show you the the inside of this one. This is a very kind of... Not many people actually know about this film. This is one of those Hammer films where if you're trying to catch someone out and if you want to know if they're a big, big Hammer film fan or not, you've just got to simply go, have you either seen or got Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde? And if they haven't, they're not a big fan as your first thought. So my battery is running out, so I will leave it there. That is the look at the Hammer box set, and I will see you in another review.